Hello, my name is Emil Hansen, and I am the vocalist and guitarist for the Danish-American hyperthrash metal band TERMINALIST. We released our debut album last year, This Beauty, titled The Great Acceleration, and today I'm going to answer a couple of questions from Kanya Galanta, who was so kind to reach out to us. So, thank you. First and foremost, cheers. Let's get into it.
Zergatik da Terminalist taldearen izena?
Well, there are a couple of reasons actually. I wanted it to reflect our music and the themes that we deal with in our lyrics as well. Our lyrics deal with speed, and the music is a kind of metal rooted in thrash, so it had to have that kind of vibe. And I think that the terminal is a place where from which you leave in order to travel somewhere else, as well as the plane where you exit life and enter death. And I thought that kind of connection between speed and death was kind of poignant and fitting for our music. Then there are also a couple of, I think Terminalist has a kind of a vibe to it. It reminds you of some other popular cultural references. Such as the Terminator franchise. And then there's the more obvious one, which is that the band Vector came out with an album named Terminal Redux back in 2016, which is a major influence for us and our music. So Terminalist is very much derived from that influence while also reflecting our music.
Ze genero ezberdin kombinatzen dituzue zuen musikan?
Well, I'd say that we're very much rooted in thrash metal, but there are lots of other elements as well. It's not like we have a classic thrash metal vocal. It's more like a death growl. We have lots of blast beats and fast pick guitar riffs that are very black metal inspired. And we have some long songs that are very proggy and sort of inspired by progressive rock overall. So that combination, long songs, black metal, sort of blackened thrash, if you will, coupled with this sci-fi speed lyrical universe, is what we coined as hyper thrash. So that's what we play.
Bal dauka Danimarkako klimak zuen musikan eraginik?
To a certain degree, I'd say. There is a very strong, very thriving metal scene in Denmark, especially in Copenhagen, where we're based. However, it's not really thrash metal that is in the now, if you will. Thrash metal it's always been popular in Denmark. It's not really been that much alive on a more local level, if you will. We have some thrash bands active now. We have some legendary ones as well. We still have Artillery alive and kicking, and you might know Invocator from back in the day. But it's not really like it's not really like that's our origins and that's why we play what we play. I think that we more have an international perspective, and I think that we, to a certain degree, try to contribute with something to the Danish scene that is not that widespread, at least yet. So, yeah.
Nolakoa izan da The Great Acceleration argitalpena ondorengo urtean?
Well, this little record here has taken us at least a few places. I mean, last year has been great. We've played a lot of shows around the country, and just saw a very, very overwhelming and positive response. I mean, in Denmark, but also internationally, where a lot of people seem to sort of very much get what we were trying to do. We even managed to get some of the biggest newspapers in Denmark to write about us and give us some pretty nice reviews. So on the back of that, we played a lot of shows with some of our, what can you say, friends and contemporaries in the Danish scene. There's a band called Mother of All. Check them out. Steve DiGiorgio is playing the bass on their debut album, came out last year as well. And we played a couple of shows with some friends in a black and hardcore band called Fro, who also just released an album recently, which is very, very. I mean, it's a recommendation from here. Very intense music. So yeah, it's been a good year. Looking forward to more.
Pentsatzen dut The Invention of the Shipwreck kanta bikaina dela. Soloa kombinatzen ditu, ahots indartsuak. Zer esan dezakezu kantu honetaz?
So we have this long song, Invention of the Shipwreck, on the record that I guess that you can say that it's the centerpiece of the record that sort of combines all the different elements of a sound, while also being quite lengthy. We're talking about 11 minutes here. And I think that it's probably the song that is the most death metal that we have. We have some very, very death metal like sections in the first part at least of the song, but it's also a song that's very much I'd say inspired by some prog rock as well. It evolves and ends up with a and in my opinion very beautiful bass solo on part of our bass player Kalle Tihonen, who did an amazing job with writing some melodic and catchy stuff that is very, very epic and sort of blends into the song really well. The title is more or less a direct quote from one of our major inspirations, at least when it comes to the theme and the lyrics in our music. So there's a French thinker and philosopher, Paul Virilio. He died a couple of years ago in 2018, who coined the term the dromology, which is I guess you can say that it's a science of speed, or it's a logic of speed that more or less states that throughout history that speed has ruled the course of history, and with every invention, mankind has been taken further in development, and with speed comes power, and with great power comes responsibilities and all that. But with speed and power also comes destruction. So Virilio, he it's one of his more famous quotes that he said that the invention of the ship was also the invention of the shipwreck, just like the invention of the plane was the invention of the plane crash. The invention of the train was the invention of the train derailing, and I mean the point is that every kind of invention also has a negative side to it, and we don't just invent new ways to communicate and new ways to travel and new ways to live and deal with different tasks in our lives. We also invent new ways to destroy and to kill and to obliterate and to ruin our climate and our environment and each other in many different ways. So that sort of it sort of sums up the whole the lyrics for that song, and that title sort of sums up the whole philosophy of Paul Virilio, but also of our lyrical universe. So this song is in many ways sort of our signature song, if you will. Glad you like it.
The Great Acceleration albumean badaude 10 minutu inguruko bi kantu. Adierazteko behar den denbora guztia hartzea gustatzen zaizue?
Yeah, most certainly. But I'd say that it definitely depends. I mean, there are many ways to write a song, and it's a matter of style, and it's a matter of expression, but it's also very much a matter of where your musical ideas take you, or what it seems that your musical ideas need in order to function in a context that then can be short or long. I mean, it's also a fine art to write a short, punchy, 3-minute song, but the grand scale and scope of the 10-minute epic is very much one that I like, or that we like to explore and to try to do some more with, because I mean you can certainly justify having a bit more variety in a 10-minute song than you can in a 3-minute song, for example. That's a very interesting kind of route to take in order to, I mean, also just in order to try to expand a little bit on our style and thrash metal in general, which I think sometimes needs a little extra in order to be appealing today.
Ze taldek izan dute eragina zuengan?
Well, there's a lot. Let's just be honest about that, and it's not just necessarily metal, but I mean, let's go with the metal though. So pretty obviously, the American progressive sci-fi prog thrashers, Vector are an obvious inspiration, and their take on thrash metal, but also progressive metal that is thrashy, is kind of what guided us into playing what we eventually began to play. Because I've been growing up on thrash metal since I started listening to metal, and probably more than some of the other guys in the band. So there's a lot of, I've been sort of shaped by old Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer records to a large degree, but it needs that kind of classic thrash metal sound, needs something extra, I believe, at least in order to be as compelling today as it was, I believe, probably was back in the day, and I think that Vector very much shows how you can do that. But of course, they also take cues from a lot of bands that we find inspiring too. I mean, Death, for example, or some of the more progressive death metal acts from back in the day, which could be Atheist or Cynic, or some of their more modern contemporaries like Horrendous. Then you have the whole technical progressive thrash from the late 80s and beginning of the 90s, where I'd like to say that Coroner, for example, from Switzerland, is a major inspiration as well. I mean, goddamn, could they write some fucking riffs, and if you expand a little bit on it, then there's a lot of I mean, I'd say progressive rock. That's that era of progressive rock from the 70s is also a big inspiration for me personally. Maybe it doesn't really seep through as much in our music than some of the other stuff, but I think it's certainly there. So yeah, that was some of it, I'd say. Okay.
Ezagutzen duzu Euskal Herria? Gustatuko litzaizueke Euskal Herrian zuzenean jotzea?
I mean, sure I would. To be honest, I actually don't know a lot. I mean, I know there's been a lot of political struggle and tensions throughout the years. Some violence as well. Can't really say too much about it. You know, something about Sherlock Holmes too, but it's not a lot that I that I can go into detail there. Would we like to play there? Yeah, of course we would. So I mean, throw us an invite and we'll take a look at it.
Badaukazu Danimarkan munduko underground esena gonbidatzeko moduko aretorik?
I mean, we have a lot of venues in Denmark. I mean, as I previously said, that the scene is thriving. So doesn't really. I mean, it's mostly in the major cities. I go to Aarhus or I go to Copenhagen. But there's a lot of great places. I mean, Beta or Pumpehuset or Loppen are some obvious choices if you want to go catch some cool metal shows.
Elkarrizketa amaitzeko nahi duzuna gaitu dezamezu.
Well, I actually don't think I have a lot to add though, but I'd say that if you are interested in listening to some fresher tunes, well, this might be something for you, and if not, that's totally fine too. I mean, no threats or intimidation or coercion involved here. Although it, musically speaking, it can be appealing sometimes, but that was probably it. Over and out. Emil from TERMINALIST here. Thank you for the questions, and thank you for listening. Bye bye.